Okay, good afternoon, folks. It's 1 o'clock. We're returning from recess from our morning session for the purpose of hearing several land use items. Emily, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
All righty, we have a quorum. So as I said, we got 3 items to consider today. The first is simply a date setting for a future hearing. The other 2 will be handled in public hearing. So I guess the first is just a item to assign a hearing date for metro districts related to the EC East development. Mark, do we have an actual date to set that to?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Mark Dettenreiter, Director of Community and Economic Development. The date that we would like you to consider is October 9, 2024 for the EC East Metro District Service Plans.
Alrighty. And is that hearing going to be here or at the fairgrounds?
This would be here in this room, please.
Okay. All right, with that, I'd accept a motion to set a date for October 9th at 1 p.m.
Commissioners, do we have a time?
Excuse me?
Was there a time?
At 1 p.m.
Thank you.
I was almost there. So I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we set a hearing date for EC Metro District's date time certain of October 9th, 2024 at 1 p.m. in this room.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to assign a hearing date for the EC East Metro Districts of October 9th at 1 p.m. here in the BOCC public hearing room. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on. Okay, so the next two items we have are public hearing items, both uses by special review. The kind of order we'll take things in for each of the hearings is the same, though obviously the subject matter is different. Staff will present the application along with recommendations from the Planning Commission and staff. We may have questions for staff at that time, or we may hold them. At that point, we'll ask the applicant to present any additional matters that they'd like us to consider. And again, we may have questions there. At that point, we'll open for public comment. Once all public comment is complete, if necessary, we may call a brief recess, but then we'll ask staff or applicant as appropriate to respond to the issues that the public may bring up. Once that's done, we may again have our own questions for staff and applicant. If we feel we have enough information to proceed to a decision, we can move to a vote. Would be to generally either approve with conditions or to deny an application. If we don't feel we have enough information to make a final decision, we may continue either of the hearings, but that's the general process that each will follow. So with that, I would ask for a motion to open a public hearing on Dariana's Backyard, a special use by review permit, 4167.
Mr. Chairman, I move we open our hearing, Board of County Commissioners hearing on Dariana's Backyard special use by review permit SUR-2024-4167.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We're in public hearing. I'll turn this over to staff. Danny.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danny Klebanner. I'm a land use planner here with Elbert County for the Community and Economic Development Department. I will be presenting Dariana's Backyard, which is a special use by review. So this presentation will be about a special use by review for a dog kennel business on a 35-acre agriculturally zoned property in northwest Elbert County. Planning Commission recommended approval with conditions to establish the dog kennel business special use. The location is 4167 Private Road 188 in Elizabeth, Colorado 80107. So this process began in June of 2022. The applicants are Graham and Dariana Coe. The community meeting was on September 29th, 2022. The application was formally submitted May 5th of 24. We had a hearing with Planning Commission May 5th, and here we are, hearing with Planning Commission August 20th, and here we are today, September 11th, for the Board of County Commissioners hearing. This project complied with all Elbert County zoning regulations requirements for 14-day advance notice with a posting in Ranchland News, quarter-mile radius mailings, and an on-site sign posting. Here you can see the location in the northwest portion of the county. Here's a closer view that includes the zoning of the area. The subject property is there outlined in blue. To the north of the property is agriculture with the Hillside Ranch subdivision. It's a parcel with a residence and several outbuildings. To the south, there's agriculture, also residential land use, part of Hillside Ranch with a residence and many outbuildings. To the east, more agriculture, a 35-acre Hillside Ranch parcel. And there to the west is Mountain View Ranch with 5-acre lots. Here's a bigger aerial view of the subject property. You can see it's adjacent to Mountain View Ranch subdivision there to the west. And further to the west is the Elkhorn Ranch subdivision, also zoned residential agriculture with 5-acre lots. Here's a closer view of the property, 35-acre property. This view is from south to north. And here's a rotated view with west at the bottom and east at the top. You can see the property. So the existing zoning is agriculture with an agricultural land use. The proposed zoning will not change. Special use would be added to allow a dog kennel business. The access would use the existing driveway that serves the residents. The property is accessible off a private driveway off Private Road 188, which is roughly 260 feet from County Road 17. The proposed use is a commercial dog kennel for up to 30 dogs that would be open year-round, Monday through Sunday. No new structures are proposed. Dogs would be crated in the walkout basement of the residence. A fenced-in play area would be used periodically between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m. No customers will be entering the residence. There's a pickup and drop-off area located outside. And the owners also offer a pet taxi service to reduce customer trips to and from the property. Here's a look at the site plan. There you can see the special use area on the left. On the right is a detail of the residence with the pickup and drop-off area. And also included in the special use area would be an outdoor area for animals. And there's proposed screening with an additional 6-foot cedar fence to screen the north and west of the building and outdoor play area. The building is approximately 2,900 square feet, and about a quarter of the building will be used for the special use. Here's more detail from the site plan. The residence is about 180 feet from the property line and 130 feet from the fence line on the south. So no objections are outstanding from contacted referral agencies. This included Rattlesnake Fire, Colorado Division of Water Resources, Kiowa Conservation District, Corps, the Assessor's Office, the GIS Analyst, Elbert County Public Works, our zoning compliance official, and the engineer. In our evaluation, we found the special use to be appropriate for a kennel land use, which requires an SUR in agricultural zoning. The location near two main roads in Elbert County is positioned well to serve dog owners in northwest Elbert County. Darieana's backyard will need to purchase water for the animals and will not be allowed to use a residential well to serve the dogs. Darieana's backyard will need to receive its license from Colorado's Pet Animal Care and Facilities, which is PACFA. Prior to opening, they're in the process of obtaining that. Planning Commission voted 6-0 in favor of recommending approval of this project and emphasized the importance of evaluating the project after a one-year period. And it's important to note that all special use by review permits are subject to annual review or as specified by the Board of County Commissioners. All land use cases for special use are judged off of these criteria. The 8 criteria from Article 3E5 are as follows. A, whether the use is in harmony and compatible with the surrounding area and neighborhood. This special use to request a dog kennel business is in harmony and compatible with the neighborhood. The large lot context of the neighborhood with a mixture of agriculture and residential uses blends well with the proposed kennel. The nearest residence to Darieana's backyard will be over 300 feet away. There will be a small fenced-in play area for the dogs to minimize noise to the neighbors and limit the dogs' movement on the property. The property owners are also experienced in the dog kennel business and have practical experience minimizing dog barking, which was an issue that came up in the past meeting. B, whether the use will not have an undue burden on available infrastructure. Darieana's backyard will be accessed from a private driveway from Private Road 188 that currently serves the residents. Elbert County Road and Bridge did not have any concerns with the addition of this business. The adjacent county road is not anticipated to be burdened by this proposal. The business will be served by bulk water purchases and thereby will not increase groundwater usage on the property. C, whether the use will not unduly increase the traffic congestion or burden the existing road system. Elbert County Public Works Department reviewed the application materials and had no objection. The business is expected to generate roughly 8 additional trips to the property daily. The owners also operate a doggy taxi to pick up and drop off dogs, further limiting additional trips to the property from customers. D, whether the use will not cause significant air, odor, water, noise, or light pollution. The uses proposed are not believed to cause significant forms of pollution. The business will be licensed by PACFA, which has specified hygiene requirements. E, whether all sanitation requirements will be met. Elbert County Public Health reviewed the application. The applicant provided up-to-date information on their septic system. The system will not be used for the proposed special use. F, whether the use will be adequately landscaped, buffered, and screened. The residence will appear like many of the existing residences in the area. The dog play area will be behind the structure, and the additional cedar fence will be installed to increase screening and to keep dogs from moving about the property freely. And then finally, G and H, whether the use will not otherwise be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. This use should not be detrimental to Elbert County residents. Dog boarding and kennel services are valuable services to the community. This business will support residents with dogs and contribute an important service to the community. Finally, H, whether supplemental standards are met for specific uses. Animal care supplemental standards are met for this application. If approved, the applicant will be required to receive their license from Colorado PACFA prior to opening. So the findings from Elbert County Planning is to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners for Dariena's Backyard Special Use by Review, case number SUR 2024-4167. There's a few conditions. The applicant will be required to remove the public hearing sign within 7 days of a decision. The special use by review shall not become effective until all fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the exhibit is recorded. Recordation of all appropriate documentation is to occur within 180 days of the Board of County Commissioners' approval. The applicant must retain records and receipts of bulk water purchases. The applicant must be licensed through PACFA prior to opening. And the Planning Commission recommended that the county reviews and evaluates this SUR on an annual basis. So thank you for your time today. This has been Dariena's Backyard SUR case SUR 2024-4167.
Thank you, Danny. Do we have any questions for staff at this time?
Just a quick one. Who does the annual review?
That would be up to CDS or zoning compliance. It would also depend if we're receiving feedback or complaints that we would look into an SUR more closely.
I understand there was a community meeting held prior to this. Could you just summarize what concerns may have been brought up? And I would ask the applicant to address those when...
I believe a major concern was noise and dog barking, and the possibility of dogs moving freely about the property. Those were the main concerns, with noise being number one.
Okay, thank you. So this time I'd ask the applicant to present, and again, just those two items specifically. I noticed I guess the maximum requested was for 30 animals, but it indicated that that would be not a regular occurrence. So if you could kind of talk what normal would look like in that area. And then I know, again, from the application, they have a current business in Highlands Ranch that's similar. If just what experiences there that would tie into here would be nice, but
Yes.
thank you.
Grace Erickson, Providence Consulting Applicant Representative. Also present is Dariena's Backyard. Yeah, the SUR is for up to 30 animals. 30 is the number anticipated during peak times only, such as holidays. The daily average anticipated right now is about 4 to 8. Discussed this number quite a bit with my client to see if there could be a reduction. There cannot be. The business will not be viable. But there is capacity for that number, and it would be licensed for that number. And did you have another question that you just?
Oh, yeah, just there was quite a bit of material on controlling of barking and noise. So just
Yes.
kind of like.
So noise seems to be the primary concern. And Dariena's Backyard, experienced business owner, has another location. They have never had a noise complaint in 10 years, and they operate in a residential area. There are industry standards for mitigating barking that they would use. First of all, the dogs are not going to be outside unsupervised. They'll only be outside during certain times, and they'll have people with them, employees, when they are outside. They're not going to all be taken outside together as a group, so you're not going to have a big, large group of 30 dogs all outside at the same time. Overnight, they will be indoors. The very latest they would be outside for a break is 9 p.m. So there are, I know in your packet, some methods of mitigating barking, just basic animal care. These are all industry-specific, humane ways of mitigating barking that would be used, that are typically used in the industry.
I've got a couple of other questions, but I'll defer to Grant and Dallas if you've got anything.
The cedar fence, would that help mitigate noise?
To some extent, yes, and that's why screening's going to be added both for visual purposes and noise purposes. There's already fencing in place, but then the cedar will add that additional barrier, as well as the natural topography and existing buildings. So it's kind of an enclaved area that this use would be within.
Just quickly, when I was reading through, as I understand it, the dogs will be in crates overnight,
Correct.
and that meets the standards of PACFA, and maybe explain that a little bit further for me as well.
Yes, they will be in crates overnight. PACFA regulates the size of the crates, so those are all going to be, what's the size?
Hi, Graham Cowie. So PACFA requires that the dogs are crated when they're indoors so that they're not mingling and roaming around freely. Depending on the size and the weight of the dog, they have stipulated minimum crate requirements, and we would have crates that surpass and exceed those minimums.
Okay, thank you.
You had mentioned employees. I was kind of curious, is this going to be an owner-occupied business with additional employees to assist, or?
No additional employees. The 2 employees of Dariana's Backyard are the 2 owners.
Okay.
And so under PACFA, you need 2 employees, 1 employee for 15 dogs. So that's where the 30 comes in.
And then, so you're selling or closing the business in Highlands Ranch and essentially moving?
It's going to be a transfer, yes.
Okay. All righty. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, I would, I guess, ask for public comment at this time, and then we'll respond to that. So do we have anybody that would like to make public comment?
My name is Lou Braden. I live off of Twin Beach Place. It's off of Road 17. I highly recommend not improving this because of the noise, mainly the traffic. If they have up to 60 dogs going in and out of there, the traffic is going to be increased by 120 trips a day. Even if they have 15, it's going to be increased. They've also got emus out close to the fence, and that's causing a traffic hazard because of the cars. They're stepping on their brakes and stopping, and there's semi-trucks coming down 17 all the time. So that's a definite traffic hazard. Mainly our concern is the noise. You know, if you have 30 dogs and they're allowed to be out between 7 and, is it 9? Was it 9? That's a pretty good part of the day. You know, I personally, I live far enough away. It's going to be, you know, bothersome if I'm sitting down on a patio, drinking a cup of coffee, and I have a bunch of dogs barking. I know none of you would want to be next to a kennel. So that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anybody else that would like to make comment? Okay, ma'am. Yeah, just your name and address for the record. And
Barbara Brickley, and I live in Mountain View Ranch also. One of my things that I would like to point out, although, pardon me if you already know this, is that 35 acres in this case is not relevant. 35-acre parcel labeled agricultural is its own thing. It's not 40 acres and a mule. It has the same rules, the same regulations as far as things like this as we do on our 5 acres. And many of our 5 acres have also achieved agricultural status by application through their businesses. The reason that 35 acres doesn't apply in this instance is if you look at the location, the house and the kennel in the house and the outside defecation area behind the house are all on the front 5 acres of their property. They're not asking to build a kennel 30 acres off They're not asking to build something with dog runs and soundproofing. They're asking to put 30 dogs in their basement. Now, half their basement, I'm sorry. The square footage would be a maximum if there were no aisles, no anything in the basement except the dog crates or kennels. They could be 4 by 6. I think they might need aisles. I think they might need food prep. I think they might need a lot of other things down there in that 724 square feet. Anyway, so my main thing is the noise. The noise is just going to be like having 30 dogs on the 5 acres next to you or across the street from you. It's the fact the 35 acres in this instance, when we're talking about noise, doesn't apply because they want to do it right on County Road 17, immediately across from neighbors. And the one immediately across from them happens to be in a well-established horse therapy stable, which treats people with addictions with horse therapy. They don't ride them, they deal with them, and there's some magical healing power, which we've all heard about, and it's true because I've seen it. And anyway, so I think those are my main objections, the noise and the fact that 35 acres is not a magical number in this instance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir.
Guys, my name is Bill Murray. I've lived there for 45 years. It's always been a really quiet area. There's no noise there during the day. I'm just saying that I cannot believe that this is happening to me. I live one property away from these people. And when they moved in 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was, they had a lot of dogs over there, and it was noisy. They got shut down somehow, and the noise stopped. And now it's going to start all over again. There'll be people complaining all the time. I mean, this is a quiet area. If you want to see how quiet, I have a phone, and it has tons of videos of the quietness, of the quietness. And I wish that you would check it out. Just listen to how quiet it is out there during the day. At random times, I took probably 30 videos, probably 30 seconds to a minute long, and there is no noise out there. And at night, you can hear the coyotes barking for like 10 miles. I can't imagine what this place is going to turn out like, sounding like. It is a very residential area right there. It's very residential. I mean, 45 years I've been there. So it's going to change it. It's going to be awful because it was awful when they first got here. So that's what I have to say. You people wouldn't have it next to your house. I know that. So thank you, sirs.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other comment? Yes, ma'am.
Marie, I live at 3600 Green Mountain Circle. I've lived there since I was 23 years old, and I'm 69. So that's a good part of most people's lives. It's always been quiet. And I did call the Department of Agriculture and talk to PACFA. And when I called them, there was no application at all for the new kennel. There was one at their old Highlands Ranch. It was applied for, but there's been none. And I'm concerned about waste removal. Do they have to sign a sheet that it's removed? I don't know. I think the last meeting they said it was every day. And, you know, I don't know how that works. And I'd like to know about that. And also, I'm concerned about the noise and the surrounding property values due to the noise. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Do we have any others? Yes, ma'am.
Sue Fink. I live at 4369 Private Road 188. I live 2 lots to the east of the Cowies, so I pass their house in that corner of 188 and Private Road 188 17 every time I go in and out of the house, which would be to the, not every time. Today I came hillside to 186, okay. But what if I go to the mailbox and in and out? So I see the Cowies, I see all their farm animals, I see the emus on the corner. There aren't a lot of traffic jams at the corner. There are very few, yes, in the morning and in the evening. But a lot of the large traffic is cut down because the gas and oil rigs are not running 17 to 186, which is nice. I do live 2 lots to the east. I do hear dogs barking during the day and in the evening. I'm uphill and I'm to the east, so if the wind's blowing in the wrong direction, then I do hear noises. I am not concerned about the Cowies application for dog boarding. And let me emphasize boarding, which is overnights only. It's not a doggy daycare, and it's not a kennel where there will be breeding dogs or raising dogs. I believe their history from Highlands Ranch is one that should be relied upon, or more references checked there if necessary. But the fact that there have been no noise complaints in Douglas County speaks a lot. The Cowies address anything that is brought up to them in a very timely manner. There was at one time a kennel that lived across the road from me, and it was noisy and dogs barked, but it was like the rest of the surrounding neighborhoods. So often people will speak up or let you know that they don't like something because they don't know enough or they have questions. And it's not often enough that people speak up in support of things. That's why I'm here today. Sure, I may have questions, but we can work those out. My neighbors along 188 who were invited have no concern. There's a horse breeding, a lady with horses who lives just to the north of the Cowies, who has many horses and oftentimes has foals, and she's not concerned or hasn't let anyone know. The folks across the road who have the therapy center, the equine therapy center, worked with the Cowies, and to my knowledge, as of the last meeting, the Cowies were going to work with her to coordinate any outside arena areas she may have with her clients with the dogs outside exercise time. I feel that the noise may be the outstanding question, but once that cedar fence is up, the dogs won't
Commissioners,
have
that's
the
3 minutes.
distractions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. All right, do we have any others? Okay, at this point, I'd close public comment. Just take a couple of minutes to absorb what we did here, and then we'll ask the applicant or staff to respond. I guess certainly the applicant would be free to provide any information you'd like. I'd like to hear a little bit about the PACFA requirements and how that works. Waste removal, obviously, perhaps a little more from the actual applicant on the mechanisms for reducing barking, and then somebody had noted there was an operation there before that was shut down. I don't know if that was your own or what, but.
I'm not sure what that's referring
Okay.
to. Certainly, PACFA. Is that better? Okay, perfect. So PACFA, we did apply for our license. The first opportunity they had to come visit for their inspection is next Tuesday, the 17th. So that will be when they come out and make sure that everything is up to their regulations and their requirements. PACFA does require certain aspects to be adhered to both indoors and outdoors. So outdoors, they're very concerned about solid waste pickup. So that would be a minimum of once a day, and then weekly disposal using a commercial trash service. They're also concerned outdoors with what kind of material is on the ground. They have many options: grass, pea gravel, mulch, etc. So we would have a combination of grass for the larger exercise area, and then mulch for the closer in pens. Indoors, they have various requirements around sanitation, hygiene, cleaning. So HEPA filters on vacuum cleaners, and then a whole host of PACFA approved sanitation solutions to ensure that the cleanliness is maintained. And PACFA does, they can spring visits on these facilities at any time. So that's kind of what we need to be prepared for to ensure there's no issue.
I was going to say, can you talk through a little bit on I guess, again, there's a lot of material on mitigating or preventing barking. I know as a dog owner, sometimes we deal with that with our own dogs, but how do you deal with the short term? It's an overnight, it's not your dog, they're not familiar with you. How do you
so what's worked well in the past in our previous location is we would work with the client on a trial visit. So quite typically the dog can behave differently when the owner is not present. So having like a trial daycare situation that shows the true character of the dog, and not every dog is our client. So if the dog shows aggression or is a unabated barker, then that's probably not somebody we want to work with. But there's usually a trigger for a dog to bark. It's usually because they're happy, they're hungry, they need to go out to potty, they're excited, or they're stressed. So typically what's worked in the past is you quickly identify what the trigger of the barking is, and you mitigate that. So either removing the dog from the situation, keeping dogs that are showing aggression to each other separate from one another, or removing the dog from a stressful situation, be that a thunderstorm or fireworks or whatever it may be that's triggering the dog, if that makes sense.
Thank you. And then you did say you hadn't had an operation there. You didn't have a kennel there previously?
No, I really don't know what that's referring to. We haven't been visited by the state, the county, the sheriff, nothing like that. We do have dogs of our own, and we've certainly had the opportunity to show some of our existing clients the proposed facility, and
Okay, thank you. Have any questions?
Within our packet, there was a noise study to measure decibel levels at different distances from where the dogs would be outside. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Who put that together, how it was?
Sure. We obviously heard from our initial community meeting that barking was the main concern, which it remains today. So using the vicinity and proximity map, I picked some places that I wanted to do a decibel test. So before I left the premise, I honked the horn on the SUV to gauge how loud that was. So that was 90 decibels, 3 foot from the front hood, in the location that the dog pens would be located. And my wife stayed at the SUV, and I went around, and using the same decibel meter, I would record what that decibel reading was. So the loudest decibel rating recorded was 69 decibels. So I was at the location, my wife honked the horn, I recorded 69 decibels, and that was at Scott Frinn's driveway. And just as a point of reference, that's the equivalent of an outdoor air conditioning unit from 6 feet away. And then the readings that were actually at residence locations were lower.
Quite often, dogs bark because they don't like that other dog that's just over there. If you had 30 dogs in your basement, so to speak, how many would be outside at any one time?
We would break it down into manageable groups. So,
What is a manageable group?
so in that kind of 8 to 10 range, and it would largely depend on the temperament of the dogs as well as the size of the dog. So we wouldn't necessarily want to have a Chihuahua rubbing noses with a Great Dane, as an example. So minimize stress, look at the temperament of the dogs, and ensure that any dogs that are let out together are not going to show aggression to each other. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, but 8 to 10 dogs would be the maximum you'd have out at any one time. And how do you learn or figure out there, and I'm going to use the word eight of them can get along? How do you, just give me an idea of how you determine that.
Yeah, so the kind of trial daycare goes a long way to figuring out what the dog's temperament is, and it would typically show aggressive or barking tendencies at that time. We do have an existing client base, and frankly, most of the dogs that we see on a regular basis are repeat customers. So we're very familiar with the temperament of the dog, and we're very careful when introducing new dogs. But in terms of a maximum number of dogs, we would not put out a number of dogs where we would not be comfortable that they would all get along. So if there is a particularly aggressive dog, it would not be out with other dogs.
So just to piggyback on the idea of the existing client base, do you anticipate a lot of your current clients to make the drive out here, or will you be trying to market to new prospective clients?
So probably a three-part answer there. So I think Danny touched on in the presentation offering a pet taxi service. So that's one solution. I believe some of our existing clients will make the drive. And clearly with all of the development that's occurring in Elbert County, we're looking to service that need as well.
So with your current client base, how long is the typical stay for an animal?
So it's typically multi-day. So think of vacation times and business trips, things of that nature.
For your facility in Highlands Ranch, what was your maximum number of animals you took care of that?
So PACFA license is still in effect and approved for up to 16.
Okay. And you had the same general, during holidays, you'd probably hit that maximum, and then below that during other times?
Yeah, and clearly we were looking to not turn any of our existing clients away, which is why we're looking at a larger capacity.
Okay. I know there were some, do we have any other questions? Okay. There were some conditions of approval that were presented. I'm sure you've had an opportunity to look at them.
Yes.
Only one that caught my eye that I'd like a small modification on is we asked you to keep records and receipts for water deliveries. I'd like to add that they'd be made available to CDS if they wanted to inspect. I mean, it's great that you keep them, but the purpose, I think, is so we can ensure that you are not drawing water off a well. So,
sure. Yeah, and we do have that contract in place with Parker Water currently.
And I see your rep nodding to a slight change. I just want to make sure the purpose of that condition was to be able to check, and I think everybody keeps records for tax purposes, but we'd be looking at it for compliance. If there aren't any other...
Just another quick question. That annual review that was a condition of approval, who do you expect to do that? Is it the state board, or will it be our board, or?
That would be our review of the SUR.
Yeah, the annual review aspect of the SUR was explained and disclosed upon application, so we were fully aware of that.
Yeah, and that would be annual or could be triggered more than annual if there were complaints. So. Does everybody feel we have enough information to make a decision? Okay. Thank you. I'd accept a motion then. Sir, I mean, not to be facetious, but I think we understand what silence sounds like, so I appreciate it, but.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Dariana's Backyard Special Use Permit SUR 2024-4167 if the applicant accepts the conditions of approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the application with conditions of approval. I'd like to actually draft whatever little language change would be in there so they could be presented so we know what we're approving, but.
Would you like it to say the applicant must retain and provide records and receipts of bulk water purchases
I think if you add
to the county
at the end of the sentence, just a comma and
provide records
and provide as
requested.
as requested by the county.
All right.
Yeah. Just like I said, I don't want to.
I'll change my recommendation to include that.
Would your second stand? Yep. Okay. And that language change is acceptable to you. Okay. The applicant was nodding in concurrence. Are there any final comments? No? Okay. Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor properly formed and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. I would accept a motion to close public hearing on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close public hearing on Dariana's Backyard Special Use by Review Permit SUR 2024-4167.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you, sir.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll take a brief recess while we queue up for the next application. Thank you, ma'am.
Could have waited, I guess.
Are we good? All righty, so it is, we'll call it 1:54. We're back from recess. All three commissioners are present. We still have a quorum. We have another SUR for a tower to consider. With that, I would accept a motion to open public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we open a public hearing on Industrial Tower West in Matheson, a special use by review permit number SUR 2024-2063.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to open public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we're in public hearing. Kelsey, you're up.
Perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. For the record, Kelsey Lanham with the Elbert County Planning Department. And today I will be presenting Industrial Tower West Matheson case. Case number SUR-2024-2063. And this is for a special use by review permit. So like I mentioned, this is an SUR request for a 195-foot wireless telecommunications tower at 20631 County Road 149 in Matheson, Colorado. The Planning Department is recommending approval from the BOCC. And just a little background on this project, this same exact SUR went through the application process in 2019. It was approved in 2020, but due to no activity or an extension being requested or granted, a new application and approval was required. The applicant is Kyle DiNardo. I will mention that Kyle is not present tonight today and was unable to make it. But Teresa Swigart with Industrial Tower West, she is going to be the applicant representative today. The pre-application meeting was held in March of this year. The full application was submitted in May of 2024. This went in front of the Planning Commission on August 20th. The Planning Commission did recommend approval to the BOCC by a 5-0 vote. And here we are today in front of the Board of County Commissioners. And I will also just mention that the noticing was completed in accordance with the Elbert County zoning regulations. So here is a very broad overview of the location. The subject property, so in the next couple slides, I'll have the red star on the subject property. It is approximately 36 miles, slightly southeast from Kiowa, and 0.4 miles to the south of the town of Matheson. The subject property is 200 acres and has one owner. There is an access easement on the property that was established by Industrial Tower West and the landowner. Here is an overview of the surrounding land uses. All properties except for those within the town of Matheson are zoned agriculture. And here is the SUR exhibit. The proposed tower will be located on the western portion of the property, approximately 286 feet south from Highway 24. And in the colored picture to the bottom left, the S represents where the proposed tower will be. So the next two slides are visual renderings. This one in particular is if you are standing on County Road 149 looking west. So the left picture is existing and the right picture is what it would look like. And this rendering is if you are looking to the southeast from Highway 24. Again, the left picture is existing and the right picture is the proposed. These are the referral agencies that received and reviewed the application. There are no outstanding objections from any of the agencies. And the following agencies did not respond. The Elbert County zoning regulations determines that a special use by review permit must follow the review criteria set forth in Article 3, Section E, number 5, and those 8 criteria are as follows. Number 1, the use is in harmony and compatible with the surrounding area and neighborhood. The proposed use is in harmony and compatible with the surrounding area. Letter B, the use will not have an undue burden on available infrastructure. There is no current infrastructure on the property that would be affected. C, the use will not unduly increase traffic congestion or burden the existing road system. The use will not increase traffic or burden the existing road system. There is already an existing easement on the property that was agreed upon by the property owner and Industrial Tower West, and that is how the tower will be accessed. D, the use will not cause significant air, odor, water, noise, or light pollution. The proposed tower will not cause air, odor, water, noise, or light pollution, and since the tower is under 200 feet in height, it will not be lighted due to FAA regulations. E, all sanitation requirements will be met. The proposed tower is not requesting any sanitation. F, the use will be adequately landscape buffered and screened. So the proposed tower will not be landscape buffered or screened, but will be set back at a distance greater than what is required. G, the use will not otherwise be detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the present or future inhabitants of Elbert County. The use will not be detrimental. This tower will provide telecommunication services to properties within Elbert County. And H, supplemental standards are met for specific uses as applicable. All supplemental standards have been met. Elbert County Planning staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners approve special use by review application, case number SUR 2024-2063. And the recommendation is subject to the following conditions. And I will just mention for the record, staff provided the commissioners with an updated staff report. The staff report that was published online did not include condition of approval number 4. The next slide will have it, and then you have the updated copy. Condition number 1, the applicant will be required to remove the public hearing sign within 7 days of approval by the BOCC. Number 2, the special use by review should not become effective until all fees are paid, conditions of approval are met, and the SUR exhibit is recorded. Number 3, recordation of all appropriate documentation is to occur within 180 days of the BOCC's approval. And number 4, 2 10-foot high sections will be reserved for the Elbert County Communications Authority for possible future use for antennas for emergency communications needs. The location of which would be negotiated with the tower owner, which is Industrial Tower West, at the time that the ECCA would need them. And this concludes my presentation.
Excuse me, any questions for staff at this time?
And just a clarification, Kelsey. In the summary, on page 2, third paragraph, it says the subject property is located just within the town of Matheson's jurisdiction. With them being unincorporated, what jurisdiction would they have over this property? And have we, if they have that, what have we checked with them?
Sorry, I'm just reviewing the part of the staff report you referenced. So with the town of Matheson, it's an unincorporated town, so they essentially don't have the jurisdiction over the tower and the tower would just have to comply with Elbert County standards.
I assume that was the case when I read this, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something weird with the tower or something that would give them. So thank you for clarifying.
All righty, and then I noted there was a community meeting. Were there any issues that arose from that?
Nope. So oddly enough, the only person in attendance for the community meeting was Santa. And Santa loved the idea.
Okay.
But no, there was no objections.
Okay. No, and you had covered the 2 I had written down, which was one, what was the purpose, and you did get to that, and then and it was 195 feet, but we've had other towers in the past where they've been under the 200, but they elected to put a light on and surprised us all. So thank you for covering that. I would invite the applicant up if there's anything you'd like to add, or we can discuss the conditions at least. So,
I'm Teresa Swigert with Industrial Tower West. What she said was perfect, so I don't really have anything to add to that.
And then could you bring up this, since we're here, just bring up the slide with the conditions. So we generally do have to ask if we go forward that these are acceptable to you as an applicant.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if I may, I know was sitting in this seat, or actually that seat, I think, when we approved this the first time around. Was it just a COVID delay? And
you know, I actually was not employed with Industrial Tower at that time. I'm guessing that it was probably something along that lines and finances along the way, so, but I honestly can't give a accurate
Okay,
answer to that
no, it's
question.
just more idle curiosity. It doesn't really impact this application, but thank you.
Yeah, Kyle was here, he could answer that question.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't.
All righty. So with that, I guess we'll,
When do you expect to start construction on this?
Within the year.
okay, I'll open for public comment now.
Okay.
So, do we have any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment. I guess we have nothing to address from public comment, so is there any final discussion? Seeing none, pretty straightforward. Not only not detrimental, but it adds to the local communications and potential emergency communications, so it's a good thing. I would appreciate a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve Industrial Tower West and Matheson case, special use by review, case number 2024-2063. With the conditions as discussed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Industrial Tower West application, special use by review with conditions as stated. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. I would accept a motion to close public hearing on this item.
Mr. Chair, I move that we close public hearing on Industrial Tower West and Matheson case number SUR 2024-2063.
Second.
All righty. Motion and a second to close. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. We have closed this public hearing. Mark, do we have any other land use items?
No, sir.
All righty, so with that concludes our business for the day. I would accept a motion to adjourn the September 11th, 2024 BOCC meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.